our psyche. We go in there and we do what we're trained to do, you know. And you'll be able to relate to that.
It's quite incredible to listen to you. That entire passage you just said could do with being uploaded to a few places, to be honest with you, because again, it's time to harp on in old man mode again. But it is so simple now to just come in and pay. I mean, now it's literally £5 for 4 hours wrestling training with somebody. And just get on with it. And if you go for 4 months, the guy feels eligible to put you on a wrestling show. And it's just so easy to just get involved with it. And they wonder why sometimes the guys like you or guys that have the same mentality as you sometimes have such a problem with them. And I think when you listen to what you've just said, it's completely understandable as to why, not so much a problem, but what is the word I'm looking for? Such a lack of respect for them, possibly.
It's a lack of empathy, really. I did a show not long ago, and there was a guy there that I'd seen around wrestling a little bit, and he wasn't getting changed. And I said, "Are you not wrestling tonight?" He said, "Oh no, my knee's hurting a bit." And you know what? I just wanted to slap him off the chair. Your knee's hurting a bit, and you're not wrestling. Give me a break, I'm fucking crippled. I'm going to go out there and do the best show I've ever done because those people have paid and they deserve to see me in good shape, And if I can't go out there and do my show, guess what? I'm going to retire because those people deserve better than that. And I'm not saying that purely because I think that's what people want me to say. That is the truth. I go and see a lot of opera and theatre. I'm not interested if the guy's had a bad day or if the guy's had a cold. I pay 40 quid and I want to see a really good show. I'm the punter on that night. I want to see a really good show. And it's exactly the same for our fans, If you can't put on a good show in that ring, you shouldn't be there. You're not a pro. Simple as that. Which brings me on, because you're not doing an hour with me without me talking about my wrestling training.
Don't worry, we'll do it all at the end. Don't worry, we're going to hammer that. Do not fear. Do not fear. Now, just after you'd done this Michinoku Pro, I remember travelling to a show with you, and New Japan Pro Wrestling had contacted you, and you wasn't bothered. You didn't even respond to them. And you were losing weight. You wasn't so bothered about the wrestling at this point in time. I believe you'd got a job. What happened?
Yeah, I had this thing, really. I don't really know what happened. I think for a little while, I just lost my way a little bit in the business, It was around about the time that things were starting to turn where I just wasn't enjoying the shows anymore, A lot of the characters had left the business. You weren't having the same laugh in the change rooms anymore. It just wasn't the same experience, And I got really disillusioned with the business, and for a little while I left the business, And the problem is I thought that would be it, I thought, well, it's as easy as that. You leave the business, same as you do with any other business. What I didn't realise was how deep-rooted this business was in my blood, And I always describe this business like some life-threatening illness. You've either got it or you haven't, and if you've got it for life, This business is no different than a drug addiction to me, or alcoholism, or any of those other addictions. This business is just as bad, When you know as well as I do, when you're in this business, you're always in this business. Okay, maybe like yourself now, you don't wrestle anymore. You're living out in Cyprus. I bet there isn't a day goes by when you don't think about this business. Maybe not even an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never ever get away from this business ever. And even now, if you think you may never wrestle again, guess what? Don't ever say that. Don't ever say that, because you just might. And that's the way it turned out for me. I've tried a few times to leave this business, and now, to be perfectly honest with you, Steve, I've stopped trying to leave the business. I know I have no chance of ever leaving this business behind. I absolutely love it, and I just need to come to terms with that, which I have done. I love this business, and I always will. And I'll always stand up and defend this business, because it's what I've been brought up with, is all I know.
I think you are literally the most passionate man I've ever... I'll rephrase that, Danny.
Thank you, Steve.
After the way we started about sucking you off and now talking about how passionate you are, I think we should completely rephrase that. But your passion for the business absolutely is shining through, and it's absolutely incredible to listen to be honest with you. When did you come back? How many years did you... Because you was off for quite a while, wasn't you?
About 5 years, I think it was.
Yeah, I remember it being quite a long time, and I was champ when you came back. I really tried to get a match with you again because I know we did a couple of matches, and I was really trying to get you on a few of the shows, but unfortunately it never happened. Unfortunately, right? So you have got a wrestling school now, Danny, and I think if anybody needs any convincing, they just need to listen back to the previous 50 minutes of why they should come to your wrestling school.
Yeah.
The
strange thing is, it's easy for me to sum up, why I set up a school. To be perfectly honest, it's not about the money, Steve. I'm not really bothered about money. I'm not materialistic in the slightest. I just want to help the guys. There isn't that pure breed of wrestler coming through now, and I'm probably one of the last guys that came through from the old school, if you like, that's still wrestling. And for me, I just feel that I have to pass that on, If not for me, then for the great pros that did it for me, And there's still so much following for the British wrestling scene. And people say, it's old school or it's new school. It's neither. That's bullshit. The stuff I learned is wrestling. It's not old. Yeah. It's not new. It's none of those things. It is the only way to learn wrestling. Whether you think it's not or it is, I'm telling you, it is. And even if you're a young kid today and you want to do all that high flying and flying about, great, I'll teach you that stuff. But what you have to know is when you're doing all that high flying and all that dangerous stuff, at some point you got to land. So it's important you learn the basics, And we're seeing a lot of guys getting injured in the UK, particularly now. I don't know about abroad, but we're seeing a lot of serious injuries going through. And for me, it's only a matter of time, and God forbid that somebody gets killed in the ring. Because the guys don't have that basics training. It's like anything else in life. You have to start at the beginning. And that's all our business is, and it's all it ever was. That's where you started. You started at the beginning, and you were taught properly, And that's exactly what I want to do with these guys. And it's not just about teaching them, taking their money, chewing them out, wrestling factory, mass produce them. It's nothing to do with that. It's about teaching them the business, helping them get work, telling them what promoters want. I've already got, I think, almost a dozen promoters that are ready to take trainees from my school. So it's like the full life cycle, if you like. They come to the school, they learn the business, they learn it properly, correctly, and it's a fair thing to do, isn't it? If you want to learn something, learn it properly, because you know what? It feels great when you know something properly. And I try to say to guys, when you know something properly and you go in that ring and you do it, you have a confidence about you that other people don't have, And that's the difference, I think, now with the older pros. When you watch an old pro, he's confident in the ring, He's not in the slightest bit nervous. He knows exactly what he's doing. He can read his opponent. And it shows in their work and their ability. And that's something that is lacking, The young guys are nervous as hell before they go in.
And I think another thing that you could certainly do is develop people that are already wrestling, because the intricacies of how they do things are lacking now, and I think that is certainly something you could help with massively. So if there's anybody listening that is already wrestling, go along to Danny's school and let him show you the intricacies of what's happening. Because there's a lot of little things that are lacking nowadays that Danny will do that would have been automatic. I noticed what I call Big Daddy postings. How Big Daddy used to do his postings? Yeah. He'd just throw them halfway across the ring. Well, why have they just charged all the way across the ring? Yeah. People do that now because there's no realism anymore. Nobody wonders, why is that guy charged all the way across the ring? Yeah. It used to mean something, didn't it? They used to throw him because he'd have run because the guy really threw him across the ring. Yeah. Now they don't care anymore because they're too busy thinking about what they're going to do after he's hit the corner pad, and that kind of thing is lacking nowadays. And I know that's exactly the kind of thing that you would be, picking them up on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope it's not a pride thing, I hope a lot of the guys that are in the business now are not thinking, I don't want to go there because I'm already wrestling and what will it make me look like. Forget all that bullshit. There's no punters there. There's no publicity. It's me and you and some other guys that want to learn too. There's nobody else there. And I get so frustrated because I see guys with great, great, great talent, who can really do some good stuff. And I watch them on purpose now when I go to shows. And I'm sat there thinking, yeah, you're good, but you know what? You could be fucking amazing if you just let me show you a few things. It's really, really frustrating because they've almost got it. They just need those little bits that make you that pro. And they really don't need a lot of tweaking. But, don't have that pride about you that stops your career being where it wants to be, you know. Come to me, let me show you those things, and then go away. You know, even if you come for a little while, let me tweak those things, let me show you, and you'll suddenly say, Jesus, you're right, you know. I wish I'd have thought of that before. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's absolutely important. This isn't just for new guys starting out in the business. This is for guys that are already in the business that want to go that next step. Because I always say it's really hard to get noticed, particularly now in the business. And it's interesting, you spoke earlier, you know, about me and how I got started. And, you know, I was different then. I was a 16-year-old kid, and everybody else had been in the business a long time. So I was something a bit different, you know. Oh, who's that young boy? You know, he looks like a schoolboy. So I instantly had, you know, a head start because I was different. But the problem is today, nobody really stands out as being different. There are thousands of wrestlers that have just got boots, trunks, and good bodies, you know.
Yeah.
And I've screamed and screamed about it on my Facebook, you know. Looking good is really important, but it only helps you up until the time the bell goes. Once the bell goes, looking good ain't going to cut it. You know, looking good just ain't enough, mate. You got to be able to wrestle when the bell goes, and that's where I can help you. I absolutely agree. It's good to look muscle-bound, tanned. It's all about presentation, you know. But bottom line is, when the bell goes, you got to be able to wrestle. And I've wrestled hundreds, possibly thousands of people, Steve, that look like shit. But you know what? They're some of the best wrestlers I've ever been up against in my life, and I would much rather wrestle them than I would somebody who looks the part and can't wrestle.
How do people get in contact, Danny?
Simple, really. Jump on my Facebook page, search Danny Collins Wrestling School. All the details are there on how to book. You need to book soon, guys. I'm not just saying this. This isn't a publicity stunt. I only want to take so many guys. I do not want to turn up there and find there's 50 guys, 100 guys. I can't teach that many guys. I only want a limited number. That is absolutely straight. At this moment in time, we've only got 7 spaces left for April. We've also got bookings for May, June, and July. All the information is on my Facebook page, my email address. I'll shortly be getting a mobile phone that's specific to the training school so guys can get hold of me all the time. But yeah, in the first instance, jump on my Facebook page, Danny Boy Collins Wrestling School. Bingo, you're there.
We've got a few fan questions that have come in via the Twitter and Facebook pages. Question for Danny Collins. My question is, does anybody still bill you as boy?
Yeah, they do occasionally. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
I bet you don't. No,
not at all. It's one of those things, isn't it? It was the name I started with. It's the name people know me with, and yeah, that's the way life goes. I quite like it, to be honest with you.
Right, from Dougie then. During a televised match with Mike Bennett, the wrestling seemed to get out of hand for the duration of the contest. Was this a legitimate fight? If so, what was the background to it?
Yeah, it was a legitimate fight. I got my head kicked in that night. Absolutely smashed. Broke my nose, both my eyes blacked up, rough to bits. It was around the time when somebody had done some sort of stupid exposure or something or other. Something was going on, and I got my head kicked in, you know. And I think that it was a case of they put me in put me against somebody they knew I didn't have a lot of chance with. I was just a young kid. And it was with Mike Bennett, and he beat the living shit out of me. Yeah, it was absolutely straight, 100%. And I can remember them breaking into the football, in the middle of the football that was on before us, to say, make sure you don't miss the wrestling afterwards. We actually interrupted the football to say, don't forget the wrestling afterwards. It's a hell of a match. Yeah, I remember it well.
Okay, right. How old were you been at this point then?
17.
Right,
absolutely beat the shit out of me, Steve.
From Grain Greek John, and this is a question from me as well, because to me, Danny, you were always up there with Benoit, Guerrero, all these guys. How come you never ended up with those guys? WWF, America. Was it ever an option?
Yeah, it was years ago. I did get a call. I was very good friends with David Boy Smith, and years ago, it wasn't done like it is today with contracts and stuff, which is obviously a much better way of doing it. At the time, David Boy said, Vince is very keen for you to come out. Would you come out for us? And at the time, it just wasn't the right time for me, I was still learning the business, and I knew when you go for that sort of company, you get one shot to impress, and I was sensible enough to know that I wasn't ready at that point. And I said, no, and I said that. I said, I'm not ready yet, And but I'm ready now.
Yeah. To me, you were up there with all those guys, so you should have absolutely been there with them. So it's a surprise to me. Do you have any regrets anywhere?
No, none whatsoever, mate. No, I've absolutely loved